Hello everyone, you're watching another video installment of Sound Money. I'm Bryson, and today we're talking about Bitcoin versus real estate and why I'm a big proponent of using Bitcoin as your savings account to just save for your dream house. So in this video, we're going to talk about the rising cost of housing, why buying Bitcoin to offset those costs is a better idea, and all of the associated costs outside of just the down payment that go into owning a house. So, a big part of the American dream is to own a house. Everyone is told that you need to buy that single family home as soon as you get out of college, start making, some money in your career, and I just don't think that is very economically viable for a large majority of the population here in the United States. I definitely feel the pressure of wanting to buy a home that I can call my own and not be a renter anymore. Renting in the United States is definitely frowned upon. It's looked down upon if you tell people that you've been in the same apartment or renting in the same house for years on end. People will tell you you could have owned that house by now and you're just paying someone else's mortgage. And while that is true, I think at this point, Bitcoin just offers a way better solution as a store of value rather than putting a down payment on a single family home or even a multifamily home and all the costs associated with buying a house. So as you can see, these are the median sales prices of houses in the United States since the mid 1960s, early and mid 1960s. You can definitely see in this area right here that the increase with everything has really coincided with us being taken off the gold standard in the 1970s. We had this not sharp but steady increase up and up until the Great Recession, where we had a little bit of a pullback. But since the Great Recession, home prices in the United States have absolutely skyrocketed, making it very unattainable for the average American to afford a home. So as of Q4 2024, the Fed of St. Louis is saying that the average home price or the median home price in the United States is $419,000. $400,000 is a lot of money for a single family house, and I'm not really sure at this point how anybody can really afford that. So there's a couple of different ways to basically secure a loan for a house in the United States. They have FHA loans, which you only have to put down 3.5% of the home's price to qualify for that loan. But even at 3.5% of 400,000, it's still $14,000. I mean, I don't know about you guys out there, but $14,000 to just spend on a down payment, that's not including your closing costs or anything like that, is a significant amount of money to have on hand. We know that 50% of Americans don't even have $1,000 in a savings for an emergency. So I'm not really sure where most people have $14,000 to put down for a down payment on the house. And so when you only put down 3.5% through your FHA loan, there's a thing called private mortgage insurance that you'll have to pay also. And that private mortgage insurance doesn't go away until you more so do a conventional loan that's more along the lines of 10% down on the house, which at 10% down on your house, it's of a $400,000 house. That's what, $40,000? That's a significant amount of money to just have sitting on the sidelines waiting to put just on a down payment for the house. I just think about what $40,000 in Bitcoin could do over the next 3 or 4 years. So we know that Bitcoin has had an average return of 60% over the last decade. So if we just take that 60% and assume that it's going to do another 60% year over year over the last decade. At $40,000 in 1 year, you're going to get back over half of the down payment you put on that house. And so it just seems like taking the money that you're putting on the down payment into the house and just saving that in Bitcoin in a 4 year cycle will probably get you more closely to having your dream home than if you just put that $40,000 down in a down payment and then we're paying your mortgage over those next couple of years. It's just, I don't know. I don't want to be pressured into buying something that doesn't really seem that affordable in the slightest. And so, as we're seeing, this is our Bitcoin price history since 2009. So, Bitcoin was created right after the financial crisis and was didn't really do anything until about that 2017, 2018 area when Bitcoin started really picking up traction. Look at this, from a peak of $15,000 Bitcoin in 2018, when we just had our all-time highs of 108 a couple of months ago. I just in 6 years since 2018, look at how much money you would have made if you would have been investing in Bitcoin since 2018 instead of saving to buy a house. Or if even if you would have, say, put that 3.5% or 10% down in 2018 for your house, you would have made, I'm not going to do the math right now, what significantly more than your house is worth. Absolutely significantly more than your house is worth. And so it just seems like the down payment put into Bitcoin will lead to an even higher return without all of the counterparty risk or costs associated with owning a house. So we know that it's not just the down payment that you have to pay when you are buying a house. It's also the closing costs, but usually sometimes the person selling the house to you can cover the closing costs. So if you want to, we can exit that out. So you also have your HOA fees, you have your property taxes, you have your homeowner's insurance, and then that's not counting if anything in the house is broken, damaged, you need to replace a new roof. That's on you. There's no one else to call. Like when you're renting, like a property management company or your apartment complex, when you're renting, to just fix or replace anything that needs to be replaced. That's all on you to replace it. And these costs just really add up. And there's a lot that goes into owning a house. And the biggest scam probably of owning a house is the property tax. It would be fine if the property tax just didn't go up every single year that the price of the house goes up, but we know that's not the case. Your property taxes are going to go up significantly. So at the end of the day, you might own your house for 10 years and you might be paying way more in just property taxes, mortgage, homeowners insurance fees, HOA fees than you are even getting in return year over year of your house. I don't know. It just doesn't really sit well with me to have my money just sitting in a house when it could be in Bitcoin, especially when Bitcoin is a extremely scarce asset. It's the most scarce asset we have. Houses aren't really scarce. You can make more houses. Yes, more land can't be created, but the thing about owning a house is a lot of the times you don't even really own the land that your house is sitting on. You just own the house. So that's a massive problem for me in really not wanting to just jump into the deep water in buying a house as a young person. I just feel if I buy a house, even with a decent engineering salary, I will be way over my head. And if you can't pay your costs, if you can't pay your mortgage, that could deeply affect your credit. You could go into foreclosure, lose your house. It just doesn't seem at this point that buying a house is very economically viable in the United States at all. Saving your money in Bitcoin will definitely lead to you being able to buy your dream house way more sooner without all the counterparty risk. Even people that are renting out properties, like multifamily properties, are incurring a lot of risk with having tenants. I don't know, the counterparty risk is extremely immense. Tenants are a way bigger risk than reward, really. You can potentially lose money when you don't have tenants in your house at the time. It could also add a lot of stress because you're not only having to worry about your own family and your own family's well-being, but when you are a landlord and you have tenants, effectively you are also in charge and have to worry about the emotional and financial well-being of another family. I imagine can be very hard on a landlord to have to evict someone who is not paying their rent on time or not giving you the full amount of rent when rent's due on the first of the month. And I imagine that can really weigh on your conscience as a landlord. But on the other hand, it's a business and you have to make money also because you have to support your family also. So it just seems like Bitcoin takes away, well, it doesn't seem. Bitcoin takes away all of the counterparty risk associated with owning a house. It's none of the hassle. It's an amazing savings account, and you're going to get better returns over the course of your lifetime than if you were to park that money in a house and use the house as a store of value. So right here, we're looking at the price of houses priced in Bitcoin, and we're on pricedinbitcoin21.com. This is a website that shows you everything priced in Bitcoin, from housing to commodities to different company stocks, pretty much everything you could think of. And so just from 2014, the price of a new house was 357 Bitcoin. And just a decade later, we're all the way down to 5.28 Bitcoin for each house. And so just imagine that 10 years later, will one house be worth 0.001 Bitcoin, 0.00001 Bitcoin? This is only a decade, and we've gone from one house being 350 Bitcoin just down to being 5 Bitcoin. Imagine in another decade when you'll be able to trade one of your Bitcoin for 50 houses. This is going to be, we're going to get into a very interesting time when wealthy people who own a lot of real estate are going to realize what Bitcoin actually is and start trading in their real estate for Bitcoin. I imagine the housing market is going to absolutely crash in terms of housing prices. It's going to be really easy to buy really big homes for Bitcoin. I mean, at that point, would you even want to sell your Bitcoin for a house, knowing that in another 10 years, your Bitcoin's going to be even more valuable? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like housing is a great way to store your value in. Bitcoin is the best store of value that we have. Also, a big problem that I have with houses is that you can't just pack up and leave whenever you want. It might take months. It might take a full year or years to sell your house. It just depends on the market, depends on a lot of other things that really are out of your control. Even if you've kept your house in the greatest of conditions, that doesn't mean it's going to just sell as soon as you put it on the market. That doesn't also mean that you're going to get the price that you really want for it. And so in general, you can't even take your house with you. You can take your Bitcoin with you. If I wanted to up and move to Thailand right now, I could take billions. I don't have billions of dollars in Bitcoin, but I could take all my Bitcoin just on my cold wallet in my pocket. All you need is your key, your private keys, and you could take your Bitcoin with you. You can't do that with a house at all. It takes a long time to uproot your life when you want to go somewhere, when you own a house. And I guess that's a really good reason as to why people buy homes, because they provide a lot of stability. You know that if you're buying a home in a certain place, you're probably going to stay there for a very long amount of time. But as a young person, I'm 27, I don't really necessarily know where I'm going to be in 2 years. And so I don't necessarily want to be locked into a house for a 15 or 30-year mortgage when I might not be living in the US in 2 years or even in the same state in 2 years. I don't really know where my life is going to take me at this point. And so investing in Bitcoin and having that freedom to pick up and go wherever you want to go and bring all of your money with you is definitely a plus for Bitcoin. We also have to talk about when you want to go to sell your house, the capital gains taxes on the house, plus the HOA fees you've paid, plus the down payment and the private mortgage insurance. You might honestly end up not really making that much off of your house when it's all said and done. Yes, you have to pay capital gains taxes on your Bitcoin if you sell it, but that's the only thing you have to pay is capital gain tax on your Bitcoin. A house, there's so many other costs and fees associated with a house that it just doesn't make it very tenable to put all of my wealth in this one asset that can't be taken anywhere, that's extremely susceptible to natural disasters. How many people lost everything in the hurricanes that hit the southeast in the United States just a few months ago? Imagine if those people had all of their wealth instead of their house in Bitcoin. They would just have to remember their private keys at that point, and they would still have all of their wealth. Not all of it would be just tied into this static asset. Imagine if all those people were able to just up and leave and take their Bitcoin with you. A lot of people died, quite frankly, and didn't leave because their house is all they have. Your wealth is tied up in your house. That's this thing that you've put a lot of money into. A lot of memories are associated with houses. And so a lot of people are very reluctant to just leave their house just because a hurricane is coming, which is dangerous. I imagine if they own Bitcoin, as much Bitcoin in value as their house was, they would have no problem leaving the property that they were staying in because they know they would be bringing all of their wealth with them. And so in general, I don't think I'll be buying a house. I definitely am being pressured. I feel like I'm being pressured by society, especially my dad. My dad's been telling me to buy a condo since I graduated college for the last 3 or 4 years, and I just don't think that is a great idea for me. I just want to keep putting money into Bitcoin. I know that if I commit to buying a condo, I am committing to this thing. I am committing to a 30-year mortgage. I can't miss the mortgage payment or I will literally lose my house. The worst thing possible that could happen if you don't make your rent is that, yeah, your credit could be messed up for a little bit and you might be evicted and kicked out, but you can repair your credit from that. Recovering from a foreclosure can be a completely life-altering event and something you may never recover from. We know people in the 2008 recession, a lot of people never recovered from foreclosing and losing their houses. They were never the same. And a lot of people were never able to even have the money to buy another house. And so in general, Bitcoin offers a better solution as a store of value as opposed to houses. And it's going to be interesting in the next decade when people really start to understand this and stop using their houses as a store of value. Now, if you're living in your house and, that's your single family home, that makes a lot of sense. But a lot of these wealthy people will have a lot of multifamily houses because they view it as a good way to, instead of put their money in just the stock market, to hold their money in a asset that they view as a store of value. But the value of houses are going down compared to Bitcoin. Yeah, the price is going up, but the price of everything is going up compared to Bitcoin. Everything's falling against Bitcoin. Ultimately, Bitcoin is the best way to save for your dream home. And it's what will allow you to save for your dream home faster. I don't know where I'm going to be in the next 10 years, but I know I can buy Bitcoin over the next 10 years. And when I finally get in a place where I'm completely stable and want to potentially settle down, or maybe not settle down, but stay in one place for a longer period of time, I know that my Bitcoin will be doing the work for me, and it will make it easier to get the exact house I want. Because by then, so in another decade, wow, 5 Bitcoin will buy you a house right now, down from 350 just a decade ago. In another decade, you'll probably be able to get 20, 30, 40, 50 houses for 1 Bitcoin. So why would I buy a house right now? So tell me what you think about buying real estate versus buying Bitcoin and using Bitcoin as a savings account to buy your dream home. I believe that Bitcoin is the future. And so instead of buying a house, I'm going to continue to buy Bitcoin. But let me know what you think. Comment below. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm Bryson, and this has been another video episode installment of Sound Money. I hope you all have a nice day wherever you're at. And remember, buy some Bitcoin. Bye, everyone.